Nina, upon seeing Wooju, greets him, and the young man asks her how she managed to get to the school. Rabin, upon seeing the cat, comments that she is a thief before fainting. The young man asks Nina to take Rabin, since she doesn't look well, but the cat replies that fainting can't be avoided, explaining that the snake absorbed all her divine power. She immediately says she will take care of her first and explain the rest later. Wooju, curious, asks if she is going to deal with the snake. The cat replies that it's nothing more than a punching bag and leaps into the attack. Wooju, upon seeing this, reflects that maybe he has a chance, since the reaction speed of a snake is 44 milliseconds, while that of a cat is only 20. He thinks that maybe there is a possibility of winning. But then Nina flies near the student, crashing into a pillar. The young man asks if she is okay, to which the girl replies that, just as she thought, it's already too late. She asks him to take the rabbit for now, and the boy asks why. Nina, annoyed, questions why he asks that, stating that it's obvious, saying it's to run away, sprinting at full speed from the snake. As they flee, Wooju comments that Rabin fainted and that the school nurse turned into a monster, asking what is going on. The cat replies that it is just as she told him. The snake stole her divine power. The student asks what exactly divine power is, just as the snake almost catches up with them. Then the cat explains that divine power is the vital energy given by the heavens and the source of a divine spirit's power. Originally, a spirit can obtain nearly infinite power from nature, but once the race begins and they descend to Earth, they can no longer do so. Therefore, if their original divine power runs out, they lose all their strength. Wooju, curious, asks what they should do then, but the cat continues her explanation, pointing out that they can use the host's innate vital energy or steal the divine power of other spirits. In this case, theft occurred. That makes the boy ask if Rabin fainted because she lacks divine power. The cat confirms it, adding that they can wait for a natural recovery, although there is also another way to restore it. That leaves Wooju more relieved, and he asks how to do it. However, Nina interrupts, stating that it is not the time to worry about Rabin. She stops for a few seconds to look at her opponent and declares that at this moment, they are in serious trouble. Just then, the snake attacks them, breaking the school structure and throwing them far apart, one to each side. Wooju, worried, shouts Nina's name and asks if she is hurt. The cat curses the situation, adding that, since they are in such conditions, at least he should run and escape. That leaves the young man confused, but the cat explains that maybe he doesn't know it, but his body has become the judge, and that he is in a state where infinite divine power overflows like a river. She adds that, probably, what the snake seeks is not to participate in the race, but to become the strongest monster, so that it can devour the judge. Wooju, upon hearing this, reflects that, in that case, he has become a kind of energy generator for everyone. He immediately declares that he can give them his divine power. But the cat asks him not to do it, explaining that the only way to steal the judge's divine power is to devour him whole, which is the same as his death. After hearing that, Wooju wonders if there is nothing he can do. It is then that Nina stands between him and the snake, stating that if they catch him, the race will be over. She says she will try to hold it off, and jumping into the attack, she asks him to run away. The battle is fierce, but at one point the cat perceives that she does not have enough power to injure her opponent. Wooju, for his part, observes the exit, but thinks that he cannot leave Nina there. She manages to dodge an attack, but it turns out to be a trap by the snake, which catches her with its tail and says it has her now. The snake approaches and mockingly says that cornered she acts like a rat, the animal she hates so much. Nina replies that she keeps talking too much, which enrages the woman, who squeezes her even more. She adds that she is a hairy, annoying thing and orders her to silently become her food, moving in to bite her. That makes Wooju shout for Nina, but the only thing he receives is her body, since she lost her divine power and fainted. The snake, on the other hand, thanks for the meal and states that now her power is overflowing. She adds that, with so much power, maybe she can become the new sky. Nina, still conscious, calls Wooju an idiot and reminds him that she told him to run away. But the young man does not. He looks at the two unconscious girls while the snake begins to shine. Wooju reflects that everything happened because he is weak. The snake comments that she overflows with power and feels renewed, revealing her original form, a great cobra. Looking at the student, she tells him not to be too sad, since she will swallow them all together, launching into the attack. Wooju could only think that everything was his fault, and that he wished he had a little more power. He shouts that he is sorry for everyone. But before the snake's attack reaches him, a glow illuminates the place, immediately revealing that Wooju managed to stop his attacker. And Nina, upon seeing him transformed, does not understand what is happening. The snake, upon seeing that transformation, shouts that it is not possible and asks what the hell that is. The cat, surprised to see him, asks how it is possible. But the cobra insists that she not bother her with that power. Then, Wooju's version declares that the snake will participate in the race. Thus, a circle is created over the amphibian, illuminating the whole place. On the other hand, in another place, the student wakes up and wonders where he is, and if perhaps everything is a dream. At that moment, he sees someone and wonders if it is Nina. But when he tries to speak to her, the cat passes through him as if he were a ghost. Curious, Wooju asks what that was a moment ago. He begins to follow her, questioning where she is going and where they are. Upon observing her more closely, he wonders what she is looking at. Nina hides, observing a couple with their children. She marvels at seeing them, but then the man notices her. That frightens her and she begins to run away. However, the man runs after her and manages to catch her. When she turns around, Nina is crying. Wooju, seeing this, wonders why she is crying. But then he begins to wake up in the real world, noticing that at his side is Rabin, and on the other side, the nurse. This makes him get up startled and wonder what is happening. At that moment, Nina asks if he has fully awakened, while at the same time punishing the snake. The young man asks her what she is doing, and she replies that she is serving a plate of justice to that little animal. The snake complains that it hurts, and Nina replies that it hurt her too. The student is surprised and asks if that is... But Nina confirms that yes, it is the same snake from before, further explaining that the host of that creature is the woman. Wooju remembers that moment and wonders if hosts can also become monsters that devour others. Nina explains that what happened was that the snake regained its true form by absorbing both her divine power and the rabbit's. In reality, it was a complete possession, in which the host was no longer in her right mind, because the divine spirit had taken full control. In that state, the host moves only according to the deepest desires of the divine spirit and her own. Wooju, upon hearing this, asks if what she is saying is that the nurse's desire was to become a supreme being. But Nina denies it, explaining that in this case the woman had very weak energy, so much so that the desire of the snake spirit manifested with greater strength. The snake responds that she was lucky, and that a little more and everything would have ended. The cat punishes the little being even more, calling her shameless, since she almost ruined the race that way. Then a doubt arises and Wooju asks how she defeated the snake monster, remembering that he was about to be devoured. The snake also remembers it and, intrigued, asks what the hell that power was. Nina comments that maybe it was that power, but before finishing the sentence, she answers that it surely was the judge's power. She then explains that she doesn't know the details either, but that to make the divine spirits participate in the race, the judge sometimes obtains a special power. Upon hearing this, the young man asks if that means he possesses something divine. Nina replies affirmatively, reminding him that's why he survived even after falling from a great height. Anyway, Wooju is glad that everyone is safe and asks if Rabin and the nurse will wake up soon. But the cat looks at him seriously and questions why he says that so carelessly, warning that if he leaves them like this, they will soon die. That frightens the young man, who asks if they weren't just asleep. Then Nina explains that one lost all her divine power, and the other was about to be completely possessed by a divine spirit. In those conditions, they cannot wake up just like that. The rabbit adds that in the worst case, their lives are in danger. The snake confesses that she got carried away by emotion when descending to the surface for the first time in a long time, and that's why she dragged innocent humans into all this. Nina comments that she understands, since for a divine spirit, divine power is like an addictive herb that is very hard to resist. Upon hearing this, Wooju thinks that divine power is like an illicit substance. However, he immediately stands up and asks what they should do. Nina asks him not to worry too much and explains that there is a walking treasure of divine power. The young man asks where, and the cat replies that right there, touching the symbol Wooju has on his chest. The young man is confused since he remembers that earlier she said he could lose his life by giving his divine power, and he questions her if she hadn't stated that the only way to steal it was by devouring the judge whole. The cat calls him a coward and insists that stealing divine power is like that, but clarifies that the host is like a vessel that contains divine power. To obtain beyond that vessel's capacity, indeed one would have to eat the judge, but simply sharing divine power is possible. Upon hearing this, Wooju reflects that this could help Rabin and Nina, so, without waiting any longer, he asks how he can share his power. The cat takes his hand and replies like this. As she gets closer and closer, the young man asks her not to joke, but she assures him that she isn't. Then she asks him to take Nina's hand, and as he does, the rabbit begins to shine, commenting that the divine power is invading her. The young man asks if that's for real, and Nina confirms that contact with the judge, aside from natural recovery, is the only way to regain divine power. The student, curious, asks how long they must remain like that, and the cat replies that until the next morning, further stating that the nurse also needs that power. She points out that it seems they will have to sleep that way that night. But Wooju, uncomfortable, wonders how he could sleep like that, being between the two women. And that's not all, because Nina states that she also wants some, jumping on the young man and assuring that it feels good to receive that warm divine power. Wooju asks them to wait, questioning if they really must sleep like that. On the other hand, in a tidy room, a mother calls her daughter and asks her not to lock herself in, to come out of the room. But the girl, while eating, wonders how she could go to school in that state, thus revealing that the girl who bullied Wooju received the spirit of the pig.